In Iceland, Down syndrome is on the verge of being eradicated, and it's due in large part to the widespread use of genetic testing. But those screenings are raising some serious ethical questions. And that's because since the test began in the early 2000s, 100% of pregnant women whose prenatal screenings have come back positive for Down syndrome have decided to end their pregnancies. Researchers are also seeing similar trends across Europe as well. And while some soon-to-be parents see the decision as a way to prevent suffering, others argue that it's enabling a society where people can just pick and choose which children to bring into the world.
We have basically eradicated almost Down syndrome from our society. That is hardly ever a child born with Down syndrome.
En þau sjáum bara Down syndrome, ekki mig sjálf.
Iceland is a country of about 350,000 people.
It's a unique country because it's pretty much cut off to the world.
When you look at the landscape, it is breathtaking. And when you talk to people in Iceland, they will tell you it feels very much like the country is a giant small town.
Iceland only has one really main hospital, and it's in Reykjavik. It's called Landspítali University Hospital, and it's where every baby is born. It's also where every baby is terminated.
About 80 to 85% of women want to have the Down syndrome screening.
The screening that's been called into question is called the combined test, and they take into account a mother's age, her previous health, and also as well an ultrasound.
Here at the hospital we try to do as sort of neutral counseling as possible, but some people would say just offering the test is pointing you towards a certain direction. But on the other hand, women would come back to us if we hadn't offered it, and then they give birth to a baby with a problem, and they say, why wasn't I offered this test?
And what happens in this room?
Here we have the termination of pregnancy. Here is where the abortion happens.
Helga, our counselor at the hospital, really showed the human impact of when someone goes through a termination of a pregnancy.
We allow them to, if they want to, and they can see the little one.
So after the abortion, you'll sometimes bring the fetus to her.
Yeah, so they can look at it and say goodbye and kiss it goodbye.
And so this is the imprint of
the little
a
one.
fetus that was terminated.
Yeah. And this is how much she weighed, 56 grams.
She explained this was one of the things that had been part of a family's grieving process. So that was a prayer card. It was something that I wasn't sure what she was going to be pulling out, and the next thing I know, I see these footprints.
Footprints smaller than fingernail. I mean, I've never seen anything like that. It was their way of having something left over from that moment.
If they want to, they can have a priest who can help them with a little ceremony saying goodbye. They're grieving, even though they took this decision.
In Iceland, it's genuinely accepted that a woman has the ability to have an abortion.
Kirkjan hefur ekki verið með neina hreyfingu varðandi fóstureyðingar, hvorki gegn þeim né með þeim. En það kann að vera að það sé til örlítill hópur á Íslandi sem að berjast gegn fóstureyðingum. En það mjög lítill hópur og mjög ósýnilegur hópur líka.
Agnes Sigurdardóttir is the first female head bishop of the Church of Iceland. She was a mother herself, and so she said because she has personal experience with having a baby, as she put it, grow inside her, she was able to kind of relate to mothers who might be going through that decision.
Því það náttúrulega það erfiðasta sennilega sem nokkur manneskja getur gert, það að þurfa að taka þessa ákvörðun hvort eigi að eyða fóstrinu eða ekki, og án samviskubits eða sektarkenndar yfir því sem hún ákvað.
You know, there's not many places in the US where the leader of a religion will come out and actually say that they support a woman's right to choose.
Thordis, she's very much about supporting a woman's right to choose, but what she thinks the government is doing is giving women an incomplete picture about what it means to have Down syndrome.
What I'm criticizing is that the government is making this a policy. It's a policy about directing to women not to have this pregnancy from a health official, for me it's a strong indirect message what to do. And I think that's the major factor for this horrible statistic in this country.
She really is leading the movement against these screenings for this entire country.
Authorities doesn't differentiate between Down syndrome and any other host of issues that people could have throughout their lives, alcoholism or propensity to commit crimes. She places Down syndrome on that same spectrum, saying that you never really know what could become of your child.
There is a spectrum when it comes to people who have Down syndrome.
What you see in the media, you know, the little cute one, and they are so cute. But then a little bit further, then they say, yeah, 18-year-old boy with Down syndrome plus other problems is not maybe a good thing.
They are very different. Her brother is not like this. He has autism.
These are the things that do factor into a parent's decision whether or not to continue a pregnancy.
We never wanted to paint a picture that any decision that's been made, whether or not to keep a child with Down syndrome or to terminate a fetus with Down syndrome.
All life on Earth is rooted in DNA. You are messing with the flow of the most precious information on Earth.
Dr. Kari Stephenson was fascinating to me. His feeling was very much that we will have the ability to screen out more than just this one chromosomal abnormality.
If Iceland stands right now nearly at 100% with a screening process that is not as accurate as what the United States has and what other European countries are adopting, then you can only imagine as the technology improves where this termination rate is going to stay.
I'm concerned that we have been a bit heavy-handed in our genetic counseling because when you run into people who have children with Down syndrome, they love them dearly, and it is a complicated landscape. And I'm not going to fault women for aborting fetuses with Down syndrome.
It really is science versus nature. Do we want to eradicate, all these illnesses, all these abnormalities, all these disabilities from our society? Or what do these disabilities, what do these individuals, what do these people bring for the world we live in?
And I don't think that there is anything wrong with trying to prevent disease. I don't think that there is anything wrong with aspiring to have healthy children. But how far we should go in seeking those goals is fairly complicated decisions.